I got a shelter from the Wonder Box.
I'm sure you did. Welcome back, travelers, to Legendary Lore with the Commander Legends. It's me, Ricky, and with me is my capricious co-host, Joe. Say hi,
If you
Joe.
believe in yourself and with a tiny pinch of magic, all your dreams can come true. You really need magic to achieve it because your dreams are way too high.
Anyways, if you throw your dreams down a well. So what we're going through now are the black commander cards. Now, there's some really cool ones in this one, so let's just jump right into it so that we can have enough time.
I'm ready.
Tell me what you know about Armix, Joe. Go.
He's a golem.
Sweet.
He's more golem than the Reggies.
So basically, Armix was created by Brea. Now, Brea is a red, black, white, blue. Everything is not green. Artificer from the plane of Esper. So this is an Alaran plane of Esper, the chunk of Alara that is Esper. And obviously, well, not obviously, story time. She basically, the reason she has red is because she invaded Jund, and because that's where you could get Karmat. Karmat is what you use to create Ethereum, which is what he's made of, what the artificers of Esper are made of. Nicobola specifically made it so that the Esperites could only use a certain amount of Ethereum, because Karmat could only be found on Jund because it's solidified dragon blood. So it was basically impossible for a person to make more Ethereum. And there was an Ethereum shortage because it was already all being used up. So Bolas made it so that they would specifically have to start invading other areas. And then Jund had exactly what they needed. The problem is they didn't know how to refine it. They just knew that that was the key ingredient because there were ancient texts that told them to. I wonder who wrote the ancient texts. But basically, Brea was like, you know what? Forget that. I'm going in. She goes in. She just gets a ton of karma. She makes a ton of Ethereum. And then she makes an entire golem out of her brand new Ethereum. And it's super effective. I mean, look at it. It's beautiful. But
Looks amazing.
But something happens. This new Ethereum is extremely volatile. It's almost as if it was made from something made of red mana. I wonder how that happened. So Armix goes berserk, and she loves it. She's like, I love this. This is great. I don't have to blow him up to kill people. He'll just do it for me. And so she is super proud of her creation. And that's really his whole spiel, is that he's just a murderous golem. And the concept behind him is really cool too. Discard a card, just murk something immediately if you have enough artifacts. Just artifacts in play, artifacts in graveyard, he doesn't care. He'll count them and then he'll kill whatever he needs to that's in front of him. So it's a great way to deal with stuff. A dedicated artifact deck can even kill Eldrazi with it, which is hilarious.
That is cool. Hey, discard that card, but I need this card. Yeah, you need it about as much as they need that. What?
And that's the thing. Even if it's like, say it's a kill spell. You're like, oh no, my Fatal Push can't kill that giant Ulamog. But I do have a ton of artifacts. And it's dead. It's gone. You don't have to worry about it anymore. Now, his partner, what I feel would be a great partner for him, Tekik. It works with golems. Whenever an artifact goes into the graveyard, put a +1 counter on golems and him. So,
he's a splicer. I know splicers.
Yeah. And so basically, just the
So
fact
is he
that he's
from Mirrodin?
that guy, I'll get to, Joe. Calm yourself.
But Mirrodin, my home.
Calm yourself, Joe. Calm yourself.
Country road, take me home to the
Falthis.
place I
Falthis
belong.
is literally just
To
Tyga.
Phyrexia. He used to be Mirrodin. Got infected. Where is Khan?
Khan! Okay, so Falthis is just a black cat. It's literally just the stereotypical
What?
nightmare cat, and gives death touch, whoopity doo. It's a scowy cat. Oh no.
That guy looks like me.
It's a black cat. Anyways, next up. Hey Joe, guess where we are?
Where?
New Phyrexia.
Country road. Okay.
Now, obviously, at this point, Mirrodin gone bye-bye because it's completely corrupted by New Phyrexia, and the Mirrans are a very small thing. What's really cool about Keskit is that it confirms some things, because one of the things about Wizards, they love to retcon, they love to just toss things out. There was talk about how Atraxa was made by the 4 different Predators. That was cool. There was talk about how there were some problems between Elish Norn and Sheoldred, all that stuff, right? Well, now we get to look at this guy, Keskit. Keskit's whole deal is that he's in love with Sheoldred. He thinks she's perfect. He thinks she's the best. And he's really upset that Elish Norn got rid of her. Keskit makes it a point to, whenever he is completing something, to give them Sheoldred-esque features because he thinks that she's beauty incarnate. And so Keskit's whole deal is everything gets these little spider legs and crotch mouths because he thinks that's the bee's knees. He's just a weirdo. And I just love the idea that this little guy right here is confirming that Sheoldred is no longer a key player in the New Phyrexia game. The Elish Norn got rid of Sheoldred, has basically blackballed Urabrask, and is utilizing Jin-Gitaxias and Vorinclex to their highest abilities. But we still
I'm really looking forward to us going back and us having like a final form of Elish Norn.
I'm really looking forward to it. I'm thinking it's probably going to be like a Civil War kind of deal, where the Black Phyrexians will wind up being good guys along with the Red Phyrexians. Not necessarily good guys, but they'll work alongside the Planeswalkers to try and take down Elish Norn because of their dogma. I think that would be...
Dean's still there, just like, haha.
Now,
my army. It's Phyrexians.
Keskit says sacrifice 3 artifacts and/or creatures. Look at the top 3 cards. Put 2 of them in your hand, 1 in your graveyard. That's actually super strong. It's basically draw 2 and then mill 1 of your choice for sacking 3 things. They can be tokens. That said, instead of going for a token maker as his partner, I went with this guy, Derga, because he also likes you to sacrifice artifacts and creatures.
I don't know what was wrong with my eyes, but it took me a while to come into focus on what I was looking at with his artwork.
It's a weird perspective. He's a giant, but like...
I thought he was just a head with giant legs, and then I had to like focus a little more. Just like, what am I? Where am I? Oh, okay. I see the giant now.
But yeah, they both utilize sacrifice, so I feel like using the 2 of them together in a sacrifice-focused deck would be really cool.
And then filling the deck with the token poopers.
Yeah, and once again, like we mentioned before, these are not optimal decks. These are just cool ideas that you can do with the cards that you have. You can look at them as budget ideas because they're both uncommons. They're easy to get.
By all means, you should not be running anything. It's not Marchesa. Our queen will take over.
But Dargo and Keskit, unlikely friends, but it works. Also, Joe, how do you feel about Keskit?
You were telling me all this stuff about how he's in love with Sheoldred. I'm like, oh, what kind of horror is he? And then I saw he was a human. Just like, oh, you're right. He is a weirdo.
Miara.
I'm more interested in this, though. What is this?
Okay, Joe, tell me what you think it is first.
She doesn't look as dark as the other elves that are black. She looks like she should be green, like artwork-wise. So I'm wondering what her deal is.
Well, what plane has black-green elves?
That one where that person was from, where we got the black-green elves.
I'm going to stab you in the eye, Joe.
After that, what you tell me?
Lorwyn. She's from the plane of Lorwyn. That's why she has the horns. Horns and hooves belong to the elves of Lorwyn. On Shadowmoor, they're green-white because they're trying to keep what beauty's left. And on Lorwyn, they're green-black because they just want to kill everything that's not beautiful. And that's really her whole deal, is that she's like a super renowned assassin, basically. She goes out into the forest, she sees something that's ugly, she murders it, and everyone loves her for it. And she's like a commander, she has her own group, she works with the exquisite class. Basically, you're ranked by how beautiful you are. It's basically Hollywood, and they kill anything that's not beautiful. It's super messed up, but also kind of cool. Now, as you can see, that's her whole deal. That's her story. It's basically just saying Lorwyn still exists. We haven't forgotten about it. Even though there aren't any Lorwyn planeswalkers, it's technically still a thing. Now, what's cool is that she works great with another elf. Miara works fantastic with Numa. Now, Miara's whole deal is that she says whenever she or another elf dies, pay a life and 1 mana, draw a card. So she's literally just, if your stuff dies, draw cards. Numa says, beginning of combat, pay any amount of X, distribute X plus 1 counters among elves. So the whole idea is make a ton of elves, kill the opponent. If they kill your elves, draw a ton of cards to play more elves to kill your opponent. It's a classic aggro strategy. One costs 2, the other costs 3. They curve perfectly into each other. They're both elf-based. It's hilarious.
I like it. Where's Derga from? I've seen that before.
I'll get there when we get to Green Joe. Hold your tiny horses.
It's the title. I've seen it before. Where are the Derga people from?
Deraga's from Zendikar.
Okay.
There's more to him.
I really like her, though.
Yeah, and I mean, artwork-wise, I always like it when a black card can have a lively scene.
That's so colorful. Like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
I mean, just look at Lorwyn Swamps. They're beautiful.
True.
Also, as you can see, she's a hunter through and through. Approach from downwind, tread with care, aim for the heart. Super straightforward. Nadir.
Another elf.
Nadir, Joe. So cool.
I heard the name. Have I heard the name before?
You've never heard this name before.
No.
But there's a reason I think that. I looked it up. I dug through it. If I'm wrong, please tell me in the comments. But Nadir looks like a seed. I think he's a seed. I'll explain what I mean. As you can see, he's an elf.
Bulbasaur's a seed.
But look at his complexion. He's a dark elf. We have not seen dark elves in Magic.
I like
He's
it.
an agent of the Duskynell. Never heard of Duskynell. His story is that there were basically 2 elf groups on an unknown plane, and the light elf, the high elves, were worried that they were going to get killed by encroaching humans. So the Duskynell make a deal. What?
I worry about that a lot too. Yeah.
The encroaching humans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. They hire this agent of the Duskynell to take care of the humans. So they bring him on. He's like an ambassador, but he's secretly training an elite task force of assassin elves among the high elves to kill the humans and drive them back. Now, what's really cool about this is I think he's a seed for Dungeons and Dragons.
Ah.
He can also be a seed for Kaldheim. As you can see in the back, you can see the high elves. They have the white hair and paler skin. He has the black hair and darker skin, which is classic Dungeons and Dragons style.
I love it.
I feel, and also you can see the humans are about to murk in the back. So I feel like this is very likely a seed for Dungeons and Dragons, and if not Dungeons and Dragons, Kaldheim, because it feels way too fleshed out, especially when you compare him to a character like Prava, which is like, she fought this other guy, or even worse, Alharu, who has basically nothing to them. And it was basically just a token character. Nadir has actual things that they're causing intrigue. They're closer to, I'd say, Livio in how interesting they are than to the as far as that. He's not as interesting as him, but
he's way too fleshed out for an uncommon that doesn't have previous story.
Exactly. Also, Nadir, whenever a token you control leaves the battlefield, put a +1 counter on him. When he leaves the battlefield, create a number of 1/1s. He runs himself. He would be really good in Miara, but once again, we're talking about mono-colored cards. So I had to think about what I feel would be best. Since he's a kind of guy that pops when he dies, I tried looking for something that would go great with that. This one says he comes in with 5 counters whenever he or another creature dies. If it had +1 counter, put a +1 counter on each other creature you control. So he'll basically, they're both 6 mana. It's a really bad matchup, I'd say, but compared to everybody else who already kind of has someone, they're they're the last of the last kind of
No,
deal.
we've had bad matchups before. Like any of your Pokemon against my Pikachu.
Foo. But yeah, that's Nadir. What do you think about him?
He's really interesting. I love everything about this.
And like, it's not
Except his
obvious.
mana cost.
Yeah, his mana cost is kind of bad, but it's not obvious that this is like a possibility. But when you look at it and you see the clues, I feel like it's a really strong likelihood.
It makes you want to look into it too.
I'm sure by this point, because this is the fourth episode, someone's probably already talked about this. I'm sure, but it's just really cool to me. Oh my gosh, Sengir Joe, how long have we been doing this episode?
I haven't been keeping track. I've been super into this one actually. The black one's been really cool.
The black ones have been really cool. I'm just gonna do Tormod, and then we'll do Sengir and Szat in their own episode.
Okay.
Because I feel like we've gone long enough, and Tormod's pretty quick. Tormod was a nobleman. He was like this guy, and everybody was like, "Oh, cool. Let's just leave Tormod alone because he's kind of a recluse, and he lives near the graveyard. It's no big deal." And then they're like, "Wait, why are all these graves suddenly empty?" And they're like, "Wait, why are all these zombies here?" And they're like, "Oh snap, we should probably kill Tormod because he's probably a necromancer." And so they kill Tormod. Tormod's like, "Peace." He lets them kill him, and his relatives show up, and they're like, "Hey guys, we need to bury Tormod, so let's make a crypt. We'll put Tormod in his crypt. Everything will be fine. Everything's gonna be cool." And so they leave his crypt. They live in his home. They eventually die out. Everybody forgets about it. And suddenly,
Did he raise himself from the dead?
yes, he's a
That's
Lich Lord.
weird.
He's specifically like he is. He's just a necromancing Lich Lord. Lich Lords inherently are necromancers, I know, but the point is he's insane. He's hilarious, and the whole like idea that it says whenever one or more cards leave the graveyard, create a tap 2/2. They should have made it whenever a card leaves the graveyard. This way, if you have a Tormod's Crypt and you mill yourself, you can just make an army of 10 off the bat. Obviously, they couldn't do that because you couldn't have partner, and he'd have to be like 10 mana to put since Tormod's Crypt is free. But I like that he references his actual thing of the Crypt, and he just generally works in a deck that exiles things. And we've already talked about what Tormod would go great with already. So, yeah, that's Tormod. He's a nice guy.
Is he?
No,
Oh.
he's got a skull in his hand. He likes Hamlet.
But Hamlet likes him.
Hamlet cheese.